So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Quinn, and I am the student director here at Barefoot Church, take care of our student ministry. Are there any students in the house? Anybody, middle schoolers, high schoolers? Yeah, it's a couple young people sitting in the back. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Any people you still feel like students? You guys still feel like a student? No? Nobody? There you go. Come on. Be happy. We're all young at heart. My mom used to tell me, she used to tell me all the time, my mom used to always tell me, Quinn, you have to grow old, but you never have to grow up. So my mom always told me, and forever to this day, when she asks me why I'm doing immature, ridiculous things that I shouldn't be doing, that I should know better, my answer is, Mom, because I have to grow old, but I never have to grow up. Doesn't go over well. I've never once said that and had it go over well. Apparently, it's more of a do as mom says kind of thing, and don't question why, because mom said so, because it's just the way it is. But I do love my mom, and tonight we're going to talk about heroes. We're going to talk about real heroes. Heroes that are not real because they're in comic books, but then heroes that are real and that do exist today in this modern time. I don't know who y'all's favorite superhero is, but mine's probably a 5-way tie for first place between Black Panther, Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, and Batman. It's like a 5-way tie. I can't choose. And the reason why this whole heroes thing came about is because during message prep this weekend, I'm like thinking, what am I going to do message about? And then I realized that I was binge watching all the superhero movies that have ever come out in chronological order. I may have a problem, I don't know. And then I'm like, hey, I'm going to talk about superheroes. Because I was just in the middle of watching all the movies. By the way, there's like 17 of those things. I think I'm back to Avengers 2 for the 14th time. But we're not going to talk about that binge watching problem. I don't know, I'm just a nerd. If you don't know me, I'm a huge, huge nerd. Love movies, love superheroes, love Star Wars, love all that fantasy stuff. Because it just helps you escape this world for a little bit when you get to watch something else and kind of get in that little reality thinking, oh my gosh, there are these crazy people with these crazy powers. Or Batman, that's why he's so cool, he doesn't have powers, he's still awesome. And they can do all of these amazing things and save the day and save the world. And it just helps you get in that little environment a little bit. And then I'm like, wait a minute, why does that have to be a fake environment that we go to? Why can't that be a real environment where real heroes exist, where real things like that actually happen? I'm not saying that you can walk out of here and say up, and away and fly away. Probably won't work out. Don't try it off of a rooftop either. You won't catch flight on the way down. We're not built for that. But I'm thinking about all of the things that are wrong in the world. No argument that there is a lot of devastation in the world. There are a lot of things that happen, and this is where the heart of this message came from. I started thinking about a lot of the devastation in the world, and you look around and it's everywhere. It's evident. There's a lot of bad things that happen. There are a lot of bad people doing bad things, and whether it's from us and our screw-ups or from the sin that entered the world through Adam and Eve, it's just not what it's supposed to be. We live in a fallen world. However, I do still believe that there are heroes out there, and I'll tell you 2 heroes right now. Mom, Dad. Heroes. If you have a mom and a dad, you know for a fact that they are heroes. And I come from a divorced family, so I actually had 2 moms and 2 dads, and all 4 of them are incredible and showed me what a hero looks like in a different way. I'm just going to be transparent and honest and get in my feels a little bit. Those are youthful term for feelings. And that's what the students tell me at least. And talk about it, and I'm going to start with my mom. My mom isn't exactly a believer in Jesus or God. However, she was still the best mom she ever could have been to me. She showed me the way that the world worked, how I should respect people. I am respectful in the way that I am today because of my mom, because of the way that she raised me, because she didn't allow me to slip, because she was there for me, she supported me, and she's actually watching right now online, despite the fact she may not even believe in what I'm saying, just because her son is preaching and this is what he loves doing. That's a superhero to me. My mom has done so much for me. Help raise me, support me, put clothes on my back. That's a superhero. And then I have my stepdad, who also helped raise me for a lot of my life, because I primarily live with my stepdad and my mom. And there are times in our life where he would have to work over 80 plus hours a week just to provide for us so we wouldn't have to worry about where our next meal would come from as kids and teenagers. And I remember this time when we first moved here to North Myrtle Beach. We moved here for a specific job that we were going to open our own business, and it ended up falling through. So that he was working full-time, a day shift at Home Depot, and he was also working an overnight shift at a gas station. So he would work from 11 in the morning till about 8 o'clock at night at Home Depot, and then he would come home and eat dinner with us, and then he'd go back to work at 11 and work till 7, and then come home, take a 3-hour nap, and get up and do it again. Dude got 3 hours of sleep per 24 hours of work. It was insane. And I'm like, at the moment when you're a kid, it's sad, but sometimes you don't even realize what stepdad's doing out there. And honestly, he was like a dad to me. And then you get older and you realize, wow, that's work ethic. And it kind of showed me work ethic. So if you think that, like, don't ever think that as a parent, your role is so significant. You are showing your kid what it looks like to be an adult. And he showed me what work ethic looks like. And it's the reason why I have a good work ethic is because of him. Because I sat there and watched that man do whatever it took to make sure that his family was taken care of. He showed me what a good husband looked like. He loved my mom like crazy. He was the best dad that any person could have ever asked for. And growing up older now, you're like, wow, I wish I would have realized that 7 years ago when I was rude to him. But you don't. And then I have my dad. And my dad has been through a lot of physical injuries, a lot of emotional things. And my dad always loved sports, and he pushed me to play a lot of baseball and a lot of things like that, which I loved. It got me into athletics. And my dad was always the really sweet, loving kind of dad, the one that was just like the super loving. Like he cared about you so much that he couldn't even like spank you. It was crazy. My mom didn't have that problem. She spanked me all the time. But my dad, he couldn't do it because it just, I don't know. He just couldn't do it. And he also, this is when it gets deep. All of this is for a purpose and for a reason that we're going to come back to later. My dad, my stepmom has this terminally ill disease that has kept my stepmom terminally ill for about 7 years now. And they don't even know what the heck it is. And what's happening is basically her small intestine has just eaten itself. It just dissipated by itself. It was gone. And it took like 6 or 7 years to do this. And they didn't know what was happening at the beginning part. So there was a point when I first moved here away from my dad that my dad, my stepmom got so sick that she had to stay at UVA hospital and she couldn't leave. And she was so under all the time that she couldn't even make her own decisions. So my dad had to stay at the hospital with her. Well, they lived an hour and a half, 2 hours away from UVA, but dad had to be with her 24/7 in case she ever lapsed out, and he had to make a decision for her whether it was going to save her life or not. And this was like a weekly thing. So he had to live in his truck in the hospital parking garage for over a month or so. Dude ate like a peanut butter sandwich a day to make his bread supply last throughout the week. That showed me what love looked like, what commitment to a wife looked like, what care looked like. And the craziest part was I went to go visit him. And when I went to, this was years ago when this happened, and when I went to go visit him a couple years ago when this was all happening, he was just so happy. Sitting there, living in that hospital, was the happiest man ever. He was just so excited that me and my older brother were there. He was showing us YouTube videos and these comedians that he had been watching while sitting at the bedside with her. And I'm like, how? I actually had to ask him because I'm a very emotional person. So I had to ask him, I'm like, how are you okay? Like, how are you happy? You're basically sitting here watching your wife kind of die, and they don't even know how to help her. And you're showing me comedians on YouTube right now. That's crazy. That was a hero to me. That was a real life hero. And then my stepmom, to sit there and fight that her whole life, 7 years later now, she's still fighting it. And actually, she doesn't even go to the hospital anymore. Now she lives by herself. She lives off of a couple tubes and everything and some medicine, but she does take care of herself completely. So God has given her the ability to be able to actually get to a point where she can support herself. And my dad's with her every step of the way, and she is actually able to live on her own now with my dad out of the hospital. So these people, and this all has a point. These people in my life they're real heroes. And I really think heroes exist. And these heroes exist to people when you don't live your life for you. When you realize there's something bigger than you happening in the world. And however, I do understand that there are a lot of people who are hurt in the world. There's a lot of hurting that happens, and there are also a lot of bad things that happen in the world. And that's going to kind of piggyback into my first point here, which is the devastation. This world does have a lot of devastation. There are a lot of things that aren't right with it. There are a lot of things that have gone wrong. I mean, just for example, look at what happened to Texas this week. Another school. Like you can't even like go to school anymore. And that's like middle schools and high schools. If you don't know what I'm talking about, a kid at Texas, a high school student, he brought a 10-gauge shotgun under his trench coat to school, and he killed 10 people. That's crazy to me that this actually happens in this world. Like we actually live here, and so many times we get, like you can't even turn on the news anymore without seeing something like that. It just seems like it's just repetitive at this moment in time where all these bad things keep happening. And maybe you're not even watching the devastation. Maybe you've done something that wasn't correct, and now you're facing the personal devastation from it. You're facing personal consequences from maybe a mistake that you made in the past or a mistake that you made yesterday. We all make mistakes, that all happens, and at some point we're gonna have to face the consequences from those mistakes. And what happens when all these things start happening to us, we start making these mistakes, and this devastation starts to go on. We as a human, you have a heart, you have a soul, we do care about it. You start to feel all that weight on your shoulders. It starts bearing down on you. You start to feel it. And then you start to wonder, where's God? What's happening? Where is he? Why isn't he stepping into the situation? Maybe you're that person that's sitting on the sidelines, just kind of watching it all happen, and you're just like, where's God? What's happening? If he loves the world so much, why is this happening? Why isn't he stopping it? Why isn't he doing something? Why won't God come into the world and actually do something about it? Well, he did. He created you and me. He gave us a purpose and a message and a heart and the Bible to go share with the rest of the world. Or maybe you're the person that the negative stuff has happened to. Maybe it's happened to you and you didn't ask for it. The world dished you a plate that you didn't ask to have. And now you're stuck with it, and you got to figure out how to use it and live your life off of it. Maybe you've caused it. It was your fault that you have that plate now that you have to deal with and that you have to run with and that you have to work with because of whatever devastation you've caused or has happened to you or the world's dished you. And I'm just being honest. I'm just being completely transparent and honest that this is what happens. And what happens is when you make these mistakes and all this negative weight starts to bear down on you, you start to wonder if you're even good enough anymore. And I know this doesn't just happen to young people. It happens to adults too, where you start to doubt yourself. Like, am I really doing the right thing? Am I really in the right career path? Am I really living the right life? Can I really do anything that God says I can do? Am I really amazing? Am I really created with an amazing purpose? Am I really fearfully and wonderfully made? Can I really change the world? You start to doubt who you are. And you start to wonder, am I worthless? Or maybe you come from a church background where the church has taught you God's incredible, God's amazing, God's everything, and he is. He is all of those things. But then they also say that you're worthless, you're nothing, you have to work for your salvation, you have to work for God's kingdom. It's not going to be handed to you. You got to have your right church attendance, you got to live the right life, and you got to live this way. And that starts to make you feel worthless. Like, I'm just this person underneath this giant high king who's just lording his power over me, and I'm just this worthless little pathetic being. It's also not how it is. And this is just the way that life can make you feel sometimes. It makes you feel like you're completely pushed down, and then you start to get scared. And you start to fear. You start to get shy about sharing the gospel with your friends because your work friends don't think Jesus is cool. So you start shying away from that. It's a lot easier to talk about your expense request than it is to talk about the expense request if you don't follow Jesus with your life. That's going to be a lot higher bill than the bill you're talking about at work. Like, when did we become so scared? And I wonder when the world stopped believing in heroes. And I'm going to share some things with you tonight from this dude named Paul. I love talking about Paul, and I'm going to talk about Paul. And actually, I'm going to talk about a thing that Paul wrote, a letter to a friend, and then I'm going to talk about an actual miracle that Paul performed to show us what heroes can do. if you really believe in the thing in this resurrection of Jesus. Because I really believe the resurrection of Jesus changes everything. It takes the powerless to powerful completely. And I want to show you something. This is, to set this up, I want to show you how Paul is an example of a hero. Paul writes this letter to his friend Timothy. Timothy's a really good friend of Paul. Timothy is a young teacher, so I relate to Timothy. But Paul writes this letter to Timothy to encourage Timothy, to let Timothy know hey, I'm here for you, I'm supporting you, and that this is some encouragement for you, Timothy. And when Paul writes this letter, he is in prison. Paul's currently in prison, living out his death sentence. And he writes this letter to Timothy saying, hey, I need you to do this. You got something in you. What's he in prison for? He's in prison for believing in Jesus. Because back in those days where Paul lived, if you were a disciple of Jesus, that won't cool. And you were either killed on the spot or put in prison forever. By the way, there are still parts of the world where if you say you believe in Jesus, they just lop your head off with a cleaver. Like those areas of the world totally still exist. We're happy to be blessed enough to live in America where we can do this freely and not have to worry about any of that, and that alone is a massive blessing. So, and he writes this letter, he's talking to Timothy here, and to set this up where he's at, he goes and to tell Timothy, he's saying, Timothy, I know you had great parents, you had some great heroes in your life. And because of your mom's faith, not our face, your mom's faith and your dad's faith, this great faith that they had that I know they've passed down to you. They taught him something. They taught him that great faith that they had. They showed him what it was like to be a Christ follower. And because of this, Timothy was now an amazing person. And he's writing to Timothy and he says, because of this great faith that your parents have passed down to you, pick up in verse 6, 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 6 through 8. This is where we pick up. He says, this is why I remind you to fan into flames the spiritual gift God gave you when I laid my hands on you. So he's saying, because of that great faith that's passed down to you, I'm reminding you, don't quit, don't stop. Don't let the circumstances of life come at you wrong. Don't let it beat you down. Fan into flames that spiritual gift that God has given you. Make it turn into a fire that the whole world can see. Then he says, this is why. For God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. So never be ashamed to tell others about our Lord, and don't be ashamed of me either, even though I am in prison for him, for God. With the strength God gives you, be ready to suffer with me for the sake of the good news. I know bad things happen, and I know it freaks us out. And I know it makes us look at the world and doubt everything. And I know that it can make you have a fearful heart and a timid heart when it comes to sharing the gospel, when it comes to talking about Jesus in a public atmosphere. But this verse right here tells us that the spirit that God has put in you is not one of fear and timidity. So if you have fear and shyness towards the gospel, it doesn't belong in your heart. It's not from God. Get it out. It doesn't belong there. That fearfulness of, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do what God says I can do. I don't know if I can talk to that person. He's got a weird beard and his hair's red. I don't know if I can do it. God says, get over it. Didn't give you any fear or timidity. Well, I don't like public speaking, so I don't know if I can give this presentation and mention God in it. Well, you didn't give you a spirit of timidity. Don't be shy about it. If this is really good news and you really believe the resurrection of Jesus can change everything when you put your place and faith in it, why are you afraid to share it if you really believe it? If you really you won't be afraid to share something you really believe in. I mean, come on, guys. It's so easy for us to talk about the football game last night because we believe in it and it was exciting to us. But why is it so difficult for us to talk about the resurrection of Jesus? These are questions that I ask myself all the time. It's crazy. I mean, it just gets to me. So I ask myself, if we're not supposed to be shy, what are we supposed to be? Paul tells Timothy straightforward. God has given you a spirit, all of us. If you believe in Jesus, you have a spirit inside of you of power, love for others, and self-discipline, self-control. If you believe in Jesus, you have you have a spirit inside of you of power, love for the world, and self-discipline. If you have this spirit inside of you of power and love and self-discipline, the only thing that's stopping you from being a real life hero, from going and changing the world, is yourself. The only thing that stops you at that point is you, is your own idea about yourself and your own idea about who God is. So here's my second thing. I'm asking you to get a bigger picture. This is where I ask all of us to get a bigger picture. Get a bigger picture about what life is like and how God really sees you and how God really sees the world. And here's what I mean. What father, what dad, what father, what mom has a child and wants their child to think that they're worthless, no good, and can't change anything? Not a single father that I could think of. Not a single mother that I could think of has a child and goes to that child and says, I don't love you anymore because of what you did last night. I don't think you can change the world. You're worthless. So if God is a good father, the father of all of us who created all of us exactly the way we are for a reason, he's no different. Not one time did he create you and want you to feel like you were worthless and that you were no good and that you couldn't change anything. He says the complete opposite all throughout his word about actually how amazing you are and about how you're fearfully and wonderfully crafted just the way you are, about how he wants you to change the world, about how we are the chosen people of God. He created an entire universe, people. God created an entire universe, and then he looked at us and said, those are my people. That's our Father. That's our God. There was no part in that where I feel like he's like, yeah, you're worthless. Not a part. He wanted us to believe that we are amazing. And I want you to think about it. I want you to think about it. I want you to think about the amazing thing that humans have done. God is amazing, and humans can only do what we do because we have the power of God inside of us. Let me start by saying that, because I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying that you can walk out of here and fly. Like, we only do the things that we do because of what God has given us. But that God did not give us what we have so we can hoard it to ourselves and never use it. God gave us this entire planet to use in an amazing way that would show the rest of the universe how amazing he is. How amazing what he created was being us. Think about it. God gave man a tree. God gave humans the tree. Humans said, I see the tree. I'm going to make a log cabin out of it. We made a log cabin out of it. We made floors out of it. We made armrest out of it. We made a stage out of it. These are trees. That came from a human brain. This idea, maybe God probably inspired someone to make it, but a human did it. He gave us metal. We said, okay, metal, what if I melt you down, bend you a little bit, and shape you? Then I could make skyscrapers, buildings that are like super high to the world. I can make a church out of it. I can make an awesome temple for the people to meet. I can make a drum set. Then what if I took metal, combined it with this sand? What if I melted down sand and then it just created this thing called glass? Now we have mirrors. Oh, what if I put the mirror on top of some metal with some wires inside of it with this technology, and then I made a phone out of it? Human did these things. God's children did these things. The children that he created, and we did them with what he gave us. God created us, and he created an entire world for us to use to push his presence through the entire earth. When did we lose sight of that? When did we lose sight of the fact that we are heroes? He created us to be them. These are the questions that I have to ask myself and that I have to ask you. I just want to know when we lost sight of these things that we could do. Like this microphone was created by a human. I don't understand. I'm trying to understand where we forgot this and where these things happened in our brain when we just stopped realizing that we could do amazing things. Oh, there's also this one, electricity. Can't forget electricity. Some dude decided to fly a kite in a storm and put a key on it. What in the world? When do you wake up and go, I'm gonna tie this key to this here kite here and see if I can conduct this lightning bolt and hopefully I don't die? First off, you are brave. You definitely did not have a spirit of fear and timidity, or else you wouldn't have walked out and done that. You must have had a spirit of power inside of you. You must have been not doubting anything. You must have been brave. You must have been chasing a better goal higher than yourself. And he was. And this other dude, Thomas Edison's like, I'm going to make a light bulb. No more candles for this world. These are things that humans decide. Now we have lights and electricity that we can run through whatever we want and then we decided how to put it in this little battery, sustainable energy put in the battery. And then we made solar panels. We can use the sun to power a building or electricity to power a car. These things are crazy to me, and these things are done by humans who are running with what God has created for them. Now, I'm not saying you got to walk out of here and invent me the new iPhone 20. What I'm asking you to do is God did create you, and he did create stuff for you. So I'm asking you, what are you going to do with what God's created for you? This is what I'm asking you to do. I'm not asking you for a new TV projector that is 4 times the size of the one we have in here. I mean, if you want to make it, go for it. But what I'm asking you to do is with what God has put in your hands, with what he has created for you to use, what he has placed in your grasp, what are you going to do with it? That's your choice. Your choice as a human is for you to decide with the free will that he gave you, what am I going to do with what God has placed in my hands? Am I going to be a hero, or am I going to be a timid, shy person that hides it in my house? What am I going to do? Am I going to believe that I'm worthless and that I can't use it, or am I going to trust the God that gave it to me, run with it with everything that I have, and believe it's for a higher purpose than me and be a hero? So then I asked myself, we are humans, though. We're humans. It's the way it is. And then I was praying to God. I'm like, God, we're humans. How can we do any of this? How can we really change the world? How can we really be amazing? He said, Quinn, you are human. So is everybody else. You know what a human is, Quinn? I had to get a bigger picture of what a human was. God said it. I'm going to tell you exactly how I wrote it down. I wrote it down like this. Humans are God's chosen people who have an amazing, powerful spirit living in us, and a God who says he will fight for us. So what's stopping us from being a hero and solving the world's devastation? That's what a human is. A human is a solution to the world's problem. Not because we're cool, not because we're awesome, but because there's an awesome, cool God who gave us an awesome, cool message and an awesome, cool spirit to push through the entire earth, to carry through the entire earth. We can be the hero and save the day. Not because we're cool. We are cool. I'm pretty cool. But because God has given you something much cooler than yourself to carry. It's the message of hope. It's the resurrection of Jesus. If you're a Christian, you're carrying this. This is who you are. This is what a human is the hero, the champion of God, his chosen people to push his presence through the entire earth. And at the end of the day, when you're standing and the battle's won and you get to look at the rest of the world and go, no, I didn't do this by myself. God did it. It's all God. It's all him. This is what humans are. So here's that just, what's stopping that? What's stopping that from happening is this. The only thing that stops a human is the human believing and wallowing in their own self-pity and being all soft. That is what stops a human. It's your choice to be what you're supposed to be, because God is amazing, God is all-knowing, God is all-powerful, but he will not take away your free will. He will let you choose. He will put signs in front of you that are like, bro, you better stop, or you better turn that way, or my plan for you is over here, but you can choose to run away from it. He'll try to turn you around, but he does give us free will. So my next thing is be a hero. Be a hero. Be the hero God has created you to be. We can do this because God created us in his image. We are not these little worthless things. We are God's chosen people. We can be a hero. So if you remember that guy Paul I was talking about earlier, I want to go back in time before he's in prison and show you something that he talked about. This is actually during a message that Paul was giving. Paul was traveling around, sharing the message of Jesus, being a hero to some people, traveling around, just doing what he's supposed to do, preaching the good news. And he goes by this city, this town, Troas, and he stops there for a little bit, and he wants to preach to these people. And this is where we're going to pick up in Acts chapter 20, verse 7. And he goes to this city called Troas, and he wants to talk to them. So it says this right here. On the first day of the week, we gathered with the local believers to share in the Lord's Supper. Paul was preaching to them, and since he was leaving the next day, he kept talking until midnight. Wow. First off, he preached for a long time. You guys get upset if the service runs over an hour and a half. Paul preached till midnight. And that was just the start. The Holy Spirit had a hold of him. He kept on going. If we're going to keep reading, it got even crazier. This dude didn't stop at midnight. He kept, even after something tragic happened, he still kept rolling. This is crazy. You got to see this. So the upstairs room where we met was lighted with many flickering lamps. People read over like that's not important. That's important because they were upstairs in the room in the third floor of this house, the highest part of the house where all the heat rises, and it was lit with actual fire lamps. That room would have been hot with all them people in there breathing. That would have been a warm room. So not only did he preach till midnight, but he preached till midnight in this room that might as well have been a sauna. Nobody complained. They were happy to be there. They wanted to hear the message of God. They wanted to be encouraged. They wanted to leave there different than the way they walked in because they knew Paul was carrying something. He was carrying a message of hope, and they wanted to know about it. They wanted to hear about it. So, as Paul spoke on and on, a young man named Eutychus. I would never imagine that was pronounced Eutychus. However, young man meaning back in these days, he was 8 to 12 years old, somewhere in that age range. So, that young man named Eutychus was sitting on the windowsill, window was open, and became very drowsy. Finally, he fell asleep, sound asleep at that, and dropped 3 stories to his death below. Paul preached someone to sleep. I'm happy we have side screens and cool TVs for you guys to look at, or else you'd probably fall asleep. But he preached so long that this dude fell asleep. He fell so soundly asleep that he fell asleep and out of a window. That's crazy. And here's where it gets tragic. Here's where the devastation sets in. He fell out of a 3-story window, a young man, an 8 to 12-year-old boy, fell out of a 3-story window to his death. Tragic. Devastation. What's going to happen? What are we going to do? Is God going to swoop down from the heavens, raise him back up, or they're just going to have to deal with it and deal with the devastation? Paul says no. Watch. I just want to show you. Look at what Paul does. Paul went down, bent over him, and took him into his arms. Don't worry, he said, he's alive. You're like, just say he fell to his death. What do you mean he's alive? Simple. He came back to life. He was dead. He fell to his death and died. And then Paul brought him back to life. Not Jesus. Paul. Paul was a disciple of Christ. He's just a follower of Jesus, like me and you. Paul used the power, the spirit that God had given him inside of him. He believed in it. He put all of his faith in it. He firmly believed in what God said he could do. Because before Jesus went away, Jesus gave the disciples the power to heal people. He did. Paul believed fully in this. Paul wanted people to really grasp this. So he just goes downstairs, fully confident, not fearful, not shy, not timid, goes downstairs, runs to the bottom floor where Eutychus had just fallen and died, picks him up and says, nope, he's alive, here you go. Hero. Brought a man back from the dead. Not because Paul was just amazing by himself. He was amazing. Paul was incredible. But because he believed in the spirit that had been put inside of him. He believed that he could really do something incredible. He believed that he could really be a hero because of what God had given him. God gave him something, and Paul said, I'm going to use it. I'm going to be a hero. I'm going to use what God has given me to save someone. And then look at this. Then they all went back upstairs, shared in the Lord's Supper, and ate together. Paul continued talking to them until dawn. Dude just felt, my boy just fell out of a window and got brought back to life. And Paul's like, let's keep going, guys, come on. I got more to say. I wonder if that would happen today. If someone would fall asleep, like fall on the floor, and I just went over there, woke them up, and was like, all right, we're gonna keep going, let's go. We gotta keep preaching until tomorrow. You're not going to work tomorrow. I don't know if you guys came planning on to work tomorrow, but you might as well call out. We're going to preach till dawn. So it's just crazy to me, like, look at this. And then the young man was taken home alive and well, and everyone was greatly relieved. Why was everyone greatly relieved? Because Paul stepped up to the plate. Paul said, I'm going to be a hero. God has given me something. I'm not going to hide it. I'm going to give it to the world. And if you think that Paul was just always this amazing dude who Jesus has always just been close to, I'm going to share a little backstory about who Paul used to be. You want to talk about causing some devastation, causing some problems, doing some things wrong? That was Paul. Paul used to be this dude named Saul. Jesus changed his name when he identified in Jesus, changed his life, changed his whole direction. Saul's job used to be to kill Christians. The dude that was just preaching about Jesus, his whole job used to be to hunt down people who believed in Jesus and kill them. That's some devastation that he caused personally with his own two hands. This is not even counting how many believers of Jesus he had hunted down and killed. Because that was his job. He got paid to do it. And then all of a sudden, Jesus comes into his life. Changes everything. Because Jesus changes everything. Comes into his life and says, you're not Saul anymore, you're Paul, and here's what you're going to do. You're going to be a disciple of me, you're going to follow me, you're going to let go of your old life. You think Paul could have done anything that I just described to you that he did if he remained in that little place of thinking that he was worthless in front of Jesus? None of that could have ever happened. He had to believe that because Jesus said he was worth something, it meant he was worth something. It meant that Jesus was right. It meant that God was right when he created him. It meant that he had to believe Jesus over anything else that was going on in the world, over anything that he had to do, because what God did for him was more important than anything that he did in the past. That he could be a hero despite what he had previously done, that he wasn't worthless, that he was worth something, that he is a hero. And then he went and raised someone from the dead. And then wrote, he gets cooler than that. And then he wrote most of our New Testament. 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy, Colossians, Ephesians, Romans, Corinthians, all of those, fun fact, are actually letters that Paul wrote from prison to churches and people. Crazy. The same dude that used to kill Christians just did all of that now. That blows me away when I read that and when I look at that. That makes me sit there and go, wait a minute. Why? Why don't believers now believe that we can walk into a hospital and empty it out? When did we stop believing that if God said we could do it, it meant we could do it? At what point down the road, like we read all these books in the Bible and all these crazy things that happen, these miracles that happen, and I think so many times we look at them and we're like, oh my gosh, look how amazing this person was. And I'm like, no, don't miss it, don't understand it. God gave everything for you, gave his only son for you, so you could read that and you could understand what it meant. These people in the Bible, these followers of Jesus, you can be these followers of Jesus. These stories that are legends, these people that are legends, that can be you and me. We can be the heroes. We can, if you get a hospital, I'm not saying go try it, but if God wakes you up one day and God says, hey, I need you to do this. I need you to go to that hospital. I put the power in you. I need you to go. I need you to go make it happen. I need you to trust me. I need you to walk in full faith, no fear, no timidity, no shyness, but power, love for the world, self-discipline. Give all the credit back to me. Go change the world. Go do that. Go be a hero. When did we start to look at God and go, no? I'm trying to think when that became a thing. When did we stop believing that we could be heroes? Because we can. We can do these things. These things were done by followers of Jesus. We can change the world, but you've got to stop doubting yourself. If you're doubting yourself, put all of yourself and give it to Jesus. Turn everything you are over to Jesus. Just like Saul did. Let Jesus give you a new identity, a new face, a new look, a new soul, a new heart. Let him empower you and push you to everything you were created to be. Let him give you this power, this thing inside of you that can twist you and change you into a hero that can change the world. Superheroes do exist. These crazy things can happen. We just gotta believe in it. We gotta be a people that believe that there is a God of the universe who created the heavens, the stars, the angels, the pigs, the cats, the dogs, the whole universe, all the planets, all of earth, everything in it, created you and me, looked at me and you and said, you are my prized creation, you are my people, you've messed up, but I'm gonna fix it, I'm gonna do the work for you. Just believe in my son who died for you on a cross, believe in the resurrection, accept the power, save the world, be the heroes of the world, live out that purpose, live out that life. Heroes are real. Heroes are the dads, the moms, the believers, the brothers, the sisters, the mentors, the family of the church. Heroes are the church. We are the heroes, church. This is us. We're here. Let's be that people. We don't have to preach until dawn to make it happen. I can if you want me to. I can start in Genesis. We'll start at the beginning. We'll go from Genesis back to Revelation. But this is what church is for. Church is not a place for you to come and to hear this and to sit there and leave. Church is a place for you to come, for you to get preached to, so you fall asleep, fall out of a window. Let Jesus breathe life back into you. Walk out of these doors and go, it's hero time. It's world-changing time. I don't want my kids to grow up in this kind of world. Great, neither do I. Let's go change it, people. This is where it's at. Not in us, not in how cool we are, but it's this Bible. It's this word. It's this God. It's this Jesus that changes the world, that fixes the devastation, that is the solution to the world's problem. It is this message that you're getting right now that fixes the world. And it just so happens that Jesus looked at us when he left to go back to heaven and said, now go and preach this to all the nations of the world. We carry it. We carry the very Spirit of God inside of us. It's our job to share it. It's our job to step up and step out and be who we were created to be. Let's look around at these empty seats. I'm serious. Look around. I want you to feel what I feel. I want you to feel what Pastor Clay feels. All it takes is an invitation. Hey man, come to church. We got a word for you today. We got something waiting for you. We got a Jesus waiting for you, and you need to hear it. Let's be that church. Changing someone's life, being a hero, could be as simple as with an invite card, come to Barefoot Church. It's gonna be amazing. It can change your life. I believe in you. I don't even know you, but I believe in you, and you're amazing, and you should come check it out. That right there can be the hero moment in someone's life. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. The hero moment in my life came from a 9-year-old girl when I was a 14-year-old stuck-up, snotty-nosed teenager. I was hanging out at my pool thinking I was all cool with my friends. And then this 12-year-old girl named Destiny who came to our kids ministry before their family moved away. This random 9-year-old girl walks up to me, my group of bros, hanging out, being bros, lifting weights in the pool because we were just that kind of people. And she goes, with her sweet little voice, "Hi, I'm Destiny, and I have this really cool church. There's a really cool thing called Kids World. And I don't know if you're too old to come to Kids World or not, but you should really come and check it out. It's a lot of fun, and you should be there." I didn't come for 2 months. 2 months after the invitation was given to me, I showed up here. My whole world changed. My whole perspective changed on everything. Because a 9-year-old girl was my hero and said, "I'm changing his life today." Not because of me, but because of the message that is attached to this invite card. And it did. That's what I'm encouraging you to do. Go be a hero. I'm gonna pray for us real quick. And I wanna do something. If you've never put your faith in this Jesus before, if this is the first time you're hearing about this Jesus and this message, I wanna give you guys a chance to put your faith in that. So as all eyes closed, heads bowed. If today is the day that you want to put your faith in Jesus, and today is the day that you're saying it is hero time, it is time to suit up, it is time to go, it is time to change the world. If today is the day that you're saying, "I'm done with the devastation, I'm done doubting myself, I don't feel worthless anymore because I'm a child of the King," it's time for you to come home. All you got to do is just tell God something like this if you want to do that today. Just tell him, "God, I know that I messed up. But God, I believe in Jesus. God, I believe that he died on a cross, traded places with me. And then I believe that he resurrected from a grave to change everything, to change my future. God, I want to live for you and I want you to be the boss of my life." If that is the first time that you've prayed that prayer today, nothing fancy, I'm not going to embarrass you. I would just like to know, because I want to give God the glory for it. On the count of 3, if you said that today, can you just slip your hand up in the air real quick? 1, 2, 3. That is awesome. That is awesome. I want to pray for us all together here, and then Pastor Glenn's going to come up here. God, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity to get to come share your word, be your people, and be your light. God, I pray that you just push everybody in this room to be a hero. God, I pray that you give us the strength and the courage that we need to live out who you say we are in this world, to carry your message throughout the earth. God, I pray that we understand that Paul isn't just one hero, that we're all the heroes. God, I pray that we give us the strength to do this. And we pray this in your son's name. Amen.